Hi, thanks for coming on. Andy speaking. Friday, 27th of December, just coming up 4 o'clock. Looking ahead to games in Scotland tomorrow and England on Sunday. So just make a note of that. We've got Scotland tomorrow in 3 leagues and England Sunday. It's a very good Boxing Day in England and Scotland. 3 from 4 in England, 1 from 1 in Scotland at 6 to 4. So Scotland are absolutely flying. December's been the best month for years. It really has. Before we touch on England, there's just a couple of bits. People email all the time about generally 2 sides, Tottenham and Manchester United. And listen, I've got absolutely zero interest in either of them. One of them is run by a tight ass, and if the manager was at sea, he'd have drowned a long time ago, Postecoglou. He's useless. He is not up to this. The performances, I love watching them, but it's you're never going to get anywhere playing like that at this level. And Spurs fans, I blame the manager, but the chairman is also to blame. The amount of millions they are sat on, and I know this to be a fact, the amount of millions they are sat on. If you knew just how much they took from the food outlets at a home game, you would absolutely die. It is a horrific amount of money, but they spend it on second-rate rubbish, and that is the chairman's fault. But even so, that manager is way out of his depth. As for Manchester United, I've got absolutely no sympathy. A Bertie big bollocks team that thinks they're bigger than everybody else end up. It's quite funny. What makes me laugh as well is that all the players that Manchester United ended up with, where they think they got a nod on other teams, they were all offered to Manchester City, Real Madrid, teams like that. I know for a fact Pogba was offered to 3 or 4 clubs. Everybody turned their nose up. United got him, thought, what a wonderful player we've got, and look what happens. He leaves on a free. And I can tell you something else, that Manchester United are going to find themselves in the same boat as Manchester City, as is Chelsea. Arsenal, I'm not 100% sure on. But out of the big 6, or what was the big 6, only Liverpool and Tottenham's books balance. Not 100% sure on Arsenal, but City we know, Chelsea and United. You can't sign players like Pogba for 100 million, pay them 300 grand a week and then let them walk out the door for nothing. That is not sustainability, and they are going to be looked into, as are Chelsea. As I say, I couldn't swear on Arsenal, and as for someone said to me about Manchester United manager, absolutely not. You want to play 3 at the back over here. This is what's going to happen. It doesn't matter who you've got. This guy is way out of his depth as well, and it will be proven. 3 at the back in the Premier League. It's like Nottingham Forest the other week when we ended up having to back Manchester United because they came out well on the figures. But I remember saying to everybody in here, I'd love to be back in Nottingham Forest because we just knew you could tell what was going to happen. They were going to give them trouble. Because when you play a team that's 3 at the back, wide play is all what's needed. And Forest knew that. Nuno's a shrewd coach. He knows the time of day. But I'm really not interested in answering emails about Tottenham. Is Ange going to be sacked or not? What do I think of Manchester United? I've got no interest. But I just say what I said at the start of the season. Those 2 are the weakest of the big 8. Remember me saying that back in August? Remember a couple of people having a dig then? They're not. They are garbage, both of those sides. They buy garbage players. It's a fact. Right, let's get on with some proper football, because honestly, guys, I've got absolutely no interest in the Premier League. And I couldn't care less. I really couldn't. I'm more concerned about us being on Walsall at 25-1 in League 2 and 9 points clear with a game in hand. That's what I call betting. Right, Scottish Championship, Dunfermline Falkirk 21-24-55. Nothing in the game. Falkirk 8-11, far too short. Most likeliest winners. Dunfermline have beaten Livingston here, drawn with Ayr, beaten Wraith. They lost 3 times here to Falkirk, Partick and Queen's Park. You'd have to fancy Falkirk. Pretty good on the road. 3 losses have come at Livingston, Ayr and Wraith, all in the top 6. Dunfermline in 9th. Ayr Moreton 58-25-17. I think Ayr should win this, just too short as far as we're concerned. 1-4 at the last 5. And they're 7-1-1 at home, which I think is a really decent record. Beating Falkirk here 5-2 the other week. Surely they're up to beating Moreton. The Ton done us a favour the other week and they have one at Wraith, but that's it. There's half a point in Moreton. It's not a bet, is it really? Hamilton Airdrie 56-24-20. Apologies for that. The phone rang when I was doing this. That is why I never got to finish those off. Okay, Hamilton 56-24-20 Airdrie. 4-5 Hamilton. We see them. They're 19-20. So there's a smidge there if you wanted to take it. Home form isn't the worst. When you talk about teams 4th and below, Hamilton have got a record of 1-4, drawn 1, lost none. That's a 4-1-0 record. Against the top 3, they've lost all 3. So there's a class barrier with the Ackies. Airdrie are bottom. Airdrie are 0-1-8 on the road. 0-1-8 on the road. Hamilton ought to be up to winning that, I would have thought, wouldn't you? Partick against Queen's Park. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? Partick against Queen's Park. 60-22-18. 4-6 we see Partick at. Got a 5-4-0 home record. Beaten Ayr here, beaten Queen's Park 3-0 earlier in the season. Not lost at home. Very, very tough place to go. I was speaking to somebody about this the other day. They've got 4 draws at home. Now, I mean, let's just say that they turned 3 of those into a win. They'd be bang there, Partick. They're a good side. They just need to stop these silly draws. If they can just turn a few of these more draws into wins. I mean, look, they're 12 points behind with a game in hand, so theoretically they could be 9 points behind. They're definitely not out the running. I don't think they'll do it, but I'm just saying it's not beyond the realms, and they are a far better side than what we, I think they're a better side than 4th. I think they're probably on par with Livy. I think they're better than Ayr. Queen's Park 3-2-4 on the road. Away to teams above them, 0-1-3 is the record. Partick sit above them. Wraith against Livingston, 36-24-40. Quite a tough game to assess. Wraith are 5-2-2 at Starks. I don't think that's all that bad. Against teams above them, Wraith are 6th. Their record reads 1-3, drawn 1, lost 1, but the losses come to Livingston. Livingston are a tough side to beat. They got turned over last time out at home to Ayr. They're 4-4-1 on the road. The only loss has been at Dunfermline, which was a head scratcher. I can see this game being a draw, but you can make a case for both sides. It's quite a tough coupon, let's be honest about it. Right, League 1, Arbroath Montrose, 57-23-20. Arbroath did ought to be winning this. Just one word of note, this is a bit of a derby game. Montrose will raise their levels, I'm sure they will, for this. I mean, what annoys me with Montrose, we know they're not going down, but they've not got the money to go up. So I just think a nice comfortable season is the order of the day. And I think if you look at the form, I mean, just take the last 6 games. Lose, win, lose, draw. It's a mixture of everything. You don't know what you're going to get with them. I mean, they've won at 2nd place Kelty, 4th place Alloa, drawn at Arbroath earlier in the season. They're capable. We know they're capable. I don't know. I wouldn't want to back Arbroath. I do think, look, Arbroath the most likeliest winner is that figure, is 34 clear of the others. That's, 34%. So you'd expect Arbroath to win. I'm just saying that Montrose will raise their game. They're both on the East Coast. They're not far from each other. They're both plastic pitches, aren't they? I've actually scored a penalty at Montrose's ground. But they're both plastic pitches, I'm certain. I swear they are. Right, Alloa Stenhousemuir 44 27 29. Alloa 3-3-3 at home, one of each. Lost the last two, one winning the last six. Doesn't offer much inspiration, I have to say. Stenny on the road 2-2-5. Doesn't offer much inspiration, I have to say. That's where we are with this game. Hard to know is the thing. Game to leave alone. Most likeliest winners are Alloa. Dumbarton Kelty 38-24-38. I couldn't fathom this game. Dunfermline have won 3 of the last 8, lost 4 of the last 8. They're bottom on 4 points. They're the team that's going to drop. Well, I would have thought so, unless they can overhaul Inverness. They're surely not going to overhaul Annan on 18 points, are they? Well, I don't know. Kelty, second in the table, won the last 2. A 3-4-2 on the road. The only defeats have come against Stenhousemuir and Alloa, who are 3rd and 4th. Their record against the bottom half is 1-2, drawn 3, lost none. When you speak about it like that, it's hard to see Kelty losing. I fancied this game would be a draw, but you don't back draws. Inverness Cove 52-23-25. I think that's far too short a price on Inverness for a team that's won 3 games from 9 at home. They've got a 3-5-1 home record. They drew with Cove here earlier in the season. I mean, let's be honest. Cove were bang out of form. 5 without a win. Picked up a 2-0 win. I think against Alloa last time out. So that was okay. We see them at 3-1, then 9-2. I think that's massive, absolutely massive. Now, Cove are 5th. Their away record to teams 4th and below: 1-3, drawn 2, lost 1. There's no way in the world they should be 13-20, and no way in the world they should be 9-2. It's entirely up to you. But it's not very often you can make a strong case for a team that's 9-2. And let's just look at Cove's record against the top 3. 1-1, lost 2. Against 4th and below, 1-3, drawn 2, lost 1. That's pretty good. And that loss has come at Queen of the South, who are 6-1-1 themselves at home. So I'm not saying Cove are going to win this game. That is not what I'm saying. I don't sit here and say, oh, they're going to win, they're going to win. That is not how you make money at betting. You know how to make money at betting by now if you've listened to this long enough. It's all about backing teams which are a bigger price than they should be. But Cove at 29%, 25% at 9-2 is absolutely monstrous. I'm backing it. It's entirely up to you. I shall split a point on Cove. I shall see what Cove are on the double chance, and I will put the majority of that 1 point on the 9-2 and enough on the double chance. So if it is a draw, it gets my money back, because that's how you make money. You've got to back the big stuff with more money. I'm not saying Cove are going to win, but 1.5 points is massive. And like I say, the case can be made, and that's just ridiculous. They could win 5-0, but you can't let that go. I can't anyway. Queen of the South, Annan, as I've just said, they're 6-1-1 at home. The only loss was to Kelty. Annan are 8th, and Annan are 2-0-7 on the road. They've won at Cove and Dumbarton. I'd expect Queen of the South to win. They're just a team which, are... Can you trust them? They're a team alongside Morton I can never get right. But saying that, Morton won for us the other week at, was it 13-5, 11-5? So I'm not going to crab them too much. Right, moving on then. Scottish League 2. Just got 4 games here. Bonnyrigg and East Fife aren't in action. I felt it was a really tough coupon in League 2, I have to say. I know there's just nothing here I'd want to back. I mean, would I back Stirling? I don't know. Right, Elgin, Peterhead, 36-25-39, 7-4, then 9-5. There's a smidge in there, but it's not worth talking about. Elgin are 5-2-1 on the road. It's pretty on the road at home. My only concern is 4 of those victories have been against teams 7th and below. when you look at the home record against 6 and above, it reads 1-2-1. Thought that was a bit skinny, I have to say. Petehead are 3-3-2 on the road. Losses have come at Clyde and East Fife, and if you go by Clyde being the much trumpeted Clyde as they were earlier in the season, then I suppose you can say, well, yes, we're not going to knock Petehead too much. Clyde have actually picked up in recent weeks. We backed them the other day, I think. We did. They ended up being value, I think, the first time this season. Tough game. If I had to bet, I would bet Petehead, but it's a game to avoid. Forfar against Stirling, 40%. Even money, absolutely not a cat in hell's chance would I want to touch that. If you are thinking of backing Forfar at even money, you need your head seen to. Here's why. Played 8, 1-2, drawn 4, lost 2. Against teams 7th and below, 2-1-0 record. Against teams above, 0-3-2. Stirling on the road, a 4-1-3. Stirling against teams 8th and below, played 2, 1-2, both 2-0. I mean, you can make a case for Stirling. The reason this is down has been recent form. They've lost 4 of the last 6. They picked up a 4-2 win at Elgin last time out on the road. I think they'll win this. It's up to you. No, I'm not going to say I think they'll win this. I think you can make a very strong case, and there's half a point in it. That's all I'm going to say. Spartans against Edinburgh, 50-25-25. Edinburgh, they've been the shock of the football leagues as far as I'm concerned. I probably spoke to about 6 or 7 people before the start of the season. We all said the same thing: Edinburgh will go down. I mean, what were they, 4s on or something to go finish bottom? They've surprised me, and they've surprised everybody. They're 4th in the table. They're only 6 points off Petehead with a game in hand. It's not beyond the realms. They could win the damn thing. Should Spartans be odds on? I don't think so for this. Spartans against teams 5th and below, 4-0-1 at home. Against teams 4th and above, 0-1-2. There is a class barrier with Spartans. Edinburgh, 1 defeat in the last 8. They've won at top of the table Petehead, 5th place Stirling, etc. 0.2's not enough for us. I would want to back them, but not at that. Stranraer Clyde. Stranraer are 1-4-2 at home. It doesn't offer any inspiration, does it? Clyde are 0-2-6 on the road. How do you separate these? It's hard. It's a game not to play in. Keep your money in your pocket. If you had to bet in this division, have a bet on Stirling. Not saying they're going to win, but you can make a decent case at 14-5. Right, let's get on to England then, League One. And like I say, you're going to email me about Tottenham and Manchester United. I've got absolutely no interest, okay? If they both went down, I'd laugh. As simple as that, okay? Charlton Wycombe, 35-25-40. Interesting. What's interesting with Charlton, they're 11th. Against teams above them, they've won 2, drawn 3. They've beaten Birmingham. 2 defeats at home. We come against Crawley and Blackpool. Blackpool, I forgive. Steve Bruce can get a result anywhere, as we know. Make sure you don't get beat today, lads, was the last words that he used to say, and I know that to be true. Wycombe a second. Look, they're flying. Had a bit of a wobble, got the wheels back on at the weekend. Not weekend, was it Boxing Day? They won at Stevenage. My concern, just they're on the road against teams 15th and above. It's 3-3-1. I suppose that does sort of roll around that 6-4 price, if you like. If I had to have a bet here, I would side with Charlton just. Because you can make a strong case for that home form. You can make a strong case for Wycombe as well. So, again, it could be a draw. But if I had to play, I think, regardless what the figures come out with, when I take a personal view of this game, not what the figures say, when a personal view, I think the case can be made for both of these. And when you find yourself in a game where there's no value and you're not guided by this and the ratings, you get personally involved. I always back the biggest club where I can make a decent case, and I can make a decent case for both of these. The figures dictate Wycombe, but as I say, I just got a feeling Charlton beating Birmingham, they can beat Wycombe, they're capable, but we'll see. Rotherham against Stockport, I have to say I'm massively disappointed in Rotherham. Every time they seem to turn a corner, you think they had a couple of wins, beat Lincoln, beat Northampton. I thought the Lincoln result was brilliant, and I thought, right, here we go. No, win 2, lose 2. I just can't be confident at all. They've beaten Huddersfield and Reading and Lincoln here. They are up to beating Stockport. But then if we look at Stockport on the road against teams in that bottom sort of section, they've won 3 of them, drawn 1, lost 1. Again, you can make a case for Stockport. So, I mean, look at the figures, 37-36. You couldn't split these. There's a hair's breadth between them. I wouldn't want to be backing in this game. If I did have to back, I would bet Rotherham, because A, there's value, B, it's the highest rating, and C, it's a bigger price. Birmingham Blackpool, 60-20-20. Birmingham won the last 6. Slight wobble, wheels are back on. I tell you now, if anyone's going to get a win at St Andrews this season, it's going to be Blackpool. Purely and simply because of the manager. I did know somebody that played for Birmingham. I'm not going to name any names on here. I knew somebody that played for Birmingham many moons ago when Steve Bruce was manager. Brucey would give his team talk. Lads would get up, and as they were walking out, Bruce said, "Don't get beat today, lads." And that is still his message today. I'm telling you now, you can tell by the brand of football. Don't get beat today, lads. Birmingham, on figures, should beat them. But it's one of those, isn't it? You've got a wily old manager like Bruce. There's a point and a half in them. I'm backing Blackpool. Only to small money before, I'm going to do the similar thing what I've just mentioned with Cove. I'm going to split 1 point. I'm going to have the bulk of it on the 11-2, and then some of the other to on the draw, on the double, probably on the draw or whatever, and just to make sure I can get my money back if it does end up being a draw. If I lose, I lose, but I can't let things like this go unbacked. I know 20, as long as there's a point in it at 20% or more, I'm happy to play. If this was 0.90, I wouldn't play it, but because it's 1.5 and my cut off on my sliding scale is a point at 20%, so I'm happy to play Blackpool. It's not an account bet, and it's not a bet I'm giving out, but I know that bets like this make me money in the long term, good money. But again, you're going to get an 80% losing run. Losing runs, I'm immune. Sorry. Birmingham will probably win, but that's good value. Bolton against Lincoln, 44-26-30. Again, Bolton are a funny side, aren't they? They won 3 or 4. Now they've lost 2 from the last 3, and you just don't know what you're going to get. I don't think they're anywhere as good as what we're led to believe. They're 10th. They've played teams at home teams at home above them. They've got a 2-1-2 record. When you factor in the away, it's 2-2-4. They're 10th. I think that's probably where they are, this season, Bolton. Lincoln are a place above them in 9th. They're 3-5-4 on the road. 1 win in the last 8 doesn't offer any inspiration. Best win on the road has been Stevenage. I think Bolton ought to be winning this, but 11-10's mightily short. It's not one for me, I'm afraid. Exeter Crawley, 60-24-16. Wheels are back on at Exeter. They've won the last 2. They've got a high rating for this. It's 0.14 in them. They're 12th. I can say that when I say they've got the wheels back on, it's because there's a massive class barrier. Teams 9th and above, home and away, their record reads 1-0, drawn 2, lost 6. So 9th and above, they've got a 0-2-6 record. When you look below that, home and away, it becomes 9-1-3. That's pretty good, isn't it? They've got a 9-1-3 record to teams 10th and below. Crawley are 21st. Crawley have lost the last 3 and shipped 8 goals. Crawley away to the teams in the top half of the table are 1-0-5. Exeter ought to be winning this. Huddersfield Burton 66-20-14. I can only see one winner here. I think Huddersfield look absolutely nailed on. We see them at 2s on. They're 4-9. They're 8-1-2 at home. I just can't see anything else. Burton are 3 points adrift at the bottom. Their record is 1-4-5. They won at 17th place Peterborough. Huddersfield will muller them. I'm certain of that. There's nothing in it. Orient Cambridge 58-22-20. I felt Orient were a bit short, you know. I really did. I mean, they're going along nicely. I always knew they were a better side than what we'd seen. When you look at the squad, it's easily a mid-table squad, but they just had such a bad run to start with, losing 4 in a row. And then they lost another 3 in a row. But the wheels are back on. Wellens is okay as a manager. Cambridge 22nd. Cambridge have done okay. They've drawn a fair few. They could get a draw here. I just don't see it. I think Orient will win, but there's nothing in it. Peterborough Barnsley 36-26-38. Quarter of a point in Peterborough. Peterborough at 17th. The wheels have come right off. Or have they? Because when we look at their home record to teams 15th and below, it reads 5-1-1. It's not bad, is it? 5-1-1 for a home record. When you go to teams 14th and above, that home record reads 0-1-4. There's a class barrier. Mansfield are 8th. They've won the last 2. They've had a shocking run. They've won the last 2. What else I liked about Mansfield? Teams away in the bottom half of the table. They've played 4, won 4, and only shipped 1 goal. It's just a shame the figures have come out the way they were. I wanted to back Mansfield. Shrewsbury Northampton 44-24-32. I can't imagine backing either of these. Shrewsbury are 3-1-7 at home. They've beaten Birmingham, Lincoln here and Orient, which is absolutely shocking. Northampton on the road are 1-4-7. They've won at Huddersfield away, which again, I can't get my head round that. These are sides to stay away from. They're what I would call sides which are pretty much always opposable, and when they play each other, you just got to give it a swerve. Stevenage Bristol Rovers 52-26-22. They're not so bad at home. 6-2-4 home record. Stevenage, I think that's okay. They should be odds on for this. I don't think they should be as short as 4-5. Bristol Rovers have lost 4 of the last 5, won 1 in the last 8. I think Stevenage ought to be winning this. Finally, Wrexham against Wigan, 60-22-18. Wrexham done us a favour against Blackpool yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yes, it was. I get confused this time of the year. And they're 10-2-0 at home, which is fantastic. Do you know they've not beaten a team on the road above 17th? That's going to be their Achilles heel, why they won't get automatic promotion. You can't just rely on your home form. You've got to win games away. And when you look at who they've got to play away, they've got to play Wickham, Huddersfield, Reading, Barnsley, Mansfield, Lincoln, all in the top 9. And I'm not being funny. If you can't win at the likes of Orient and Bristol Rovers, you ain't going to get any points there. Maybe they can do it all at home. We'll see. But there's 0.19 in them. They're 10-2-0 at home. It's a fantastic home record. Wigan on the road are 4-3-4. They're not out of it, Wigan. And they have won the last 2 on the road. Just let me be clear about that. But the best wins come at 7th place Barnsley and 10th place Bolton, both of whom, as I say, Barnsley aren't great at home and Bolton are struggling. Aside from those 2, all of Wigan's victories have been against teams 17th and below. I don't see them getting anything here. Right, let's get on then. League 2. Bromley against Swindon. I mean, they are going so well, Bromley. I mean, big credit to them. I really thought they'd struggle. they've had a long unbeaten run. They've won 3 of the last 4. And the victory the other day, 5-2, you've got to take your hat off to them. Mid-table, someone said to me, could they get the playoffs? Yeah, it's not out. It isn't. We are just in such a great position. We're on Walsall at 25-1, who are 9 points clear with a game in hand. Wow, I'm not gonna. They're 4-6, so at the moment, but I'm just absolutely thrilled, and it's been a wee while since we've had a 25-1 win. We've had some decent, I think, a couple of 11 or 10-1s in recent anti-post, but I do doubles and trebles as well, and there's a few which, as I've said before, it could be retirement money, but we'll see, won't we? But Let's see if we can get this Walsall winner though first. It does look good, and the good thing is all the other teams below them are dropping points. Doncaster got turned over, Port Vale, Wimbledon aren't good enough to win it, Crewe aren't good enough to win it, Chesterfield, Notts County, they're not good enough to win it. If someone said to me now who's going to win, I would say there's only one team, and that's Walsall. But we know how quickly things can change. It's not beyond the realms for a team to go 5 games and not win and lose 4 of them, and then it's all change. The good thing, they've been to Port Vale, Wimbledon, Chesterfield, Grimsby, Salford, all teams in the top 9. A lot of their away games, they've got to go to Carlisle and Morecambe in the bottom 2, Newport, Barrow, Fleetwood, Colchester, Cheltenham, Gillingham, teams towards the bottom. They did ought to get it done, but at this level of football, you just never say never. Right, Bromley Swindon 55-26-19. Bromley evens, we see them at 4-5. Think they should be odds on for this. Swindon in 21st position, 165 away. Swindon, it'd be awful if they dropped. I don't think they will, but they're a poor side. They really, really are. A friend of mine's a season ticket holder there. I'm not going to tell you. Well, yeah, I will tell you. He said the best team that we've seen was Walsall. They gave Swindon a 4-0 tanking at the county ground. And he said to me, they're a League One side all day long. So, more grist to the mill. There's 0.2 in Bromley if you fancy it. Carlisle and Accrington, 42-27-31. 1 win in the last 7 for Carlisle, but only 2 defeats. So, they're sort of putting together, starting to become a bit harder to beat. They're 4 points off safety. 5-4 for this tomorrow against Accrington, who are 22nd. If they can win tomorrow, Carlisle, they'll close that gap to a point. Accrington do have a game in hand. Accrington are 2-2-6 on the road. They've won at Chesterfield and Gillingham, drawn at Fleetwood. That's pretty decent road form, but they've lost 6 games as well. So tough game to call. If I had to bet, I would bet Accrington, but for me, it's a no-bet game. As is the next one, Bradford Chesterfield, 40-28-32. Bradford just flatter to deceive, don't they? Would I go with them again next season? It all depends on what price they are, but they're not going to do it this season. Playoffs best. They're 10th. They've beaten one team above them, 2-1, Port Vale. Other than that, teams above them, they've drawn 3, lost 4, so they're 1-3-4 against teams above them. That's not good enough for promotion. Sorry, it isn't. And they're all right at home to teams below them, 5-1-0. Bullying. Last season they couldn't put a foot wrong on the road. It's completely turned this season. Don't understand it. Chesterfield, don't like Chesterfield. 5-1-5, not good enough. Said this all season. Never understood them being favourites. Where do I think they'll finish? Anywhere between 6th and 12th. They've won at Doncaster and Crewe, who are 3rd and 4th. But they've lost at Harrogate and Fleetwood and Gillingham. Hard to know. If I had to bet here, I would bet Chesterfield. Bradford are the most likeliest winners. Cheltenham against Notts County, 32-24-44. Cheltenham have picked up a bit. They're 6-3 at home. They've beaten Crewe. They're going along nicely. Notts County done us the other day, otherwise, because we had 3 from 4 in England Boxing Day. We were on MK Dons to beat Notts County, and County spoilt that for us, didn't they? That's their best away win, Notts County, actually. If I was going to bet here, I'd back Cheltenham. I probably would, purely on price and value, but likeliest winners Notts County on figures. Colchester Doncaster 35-25-40. Colchester 8 unbeaten, going along nicely. 4-4-3 at home. Best wins have been against MK Dons. They've not faced a team at home in the top 8. Doncaster are third, so it'll be interesting to see how this one goes. Doncaster are 5-2-4 on the road. They've won at second place Port Vale, 8th place Grimsby, 10th place Bradford. They're capable, but they've also lost at Harrogate and Newport, who are 18th and 20th. That's what I say about this level of football. Sometimes results can just go against you and there's nothing you can do about it. Fleetwood Harrogate 55-24-21. Right, Pete Wiles got the Fleetwood job. Had an immediate impact at Boxing Day, 2-0 at home to Chesterfield. I didn't do it. I was more interested just to see how the game went. They played on the counter-attack. They let Chesterfield have the ball, nicked the ball, scored, beat them 2-0 in the end, which is a decent performance. That's Fleetwood's best home win. Interestingly, Fleetwood won at Walsall 6-2 earlier in the season, which does show they are capable. Now, are we going to back them for promotion or whatever? I mean, look, we've got to be realistic. They're 20 points behind Walsall. They're not going to win the league. Could they get in the playoffs? 7th place Notts County are on 34 points. So they're 8 points ahead of Fleetwood. Fleetwood have got a game in hand. The one thing I suppose where we can make the case is Fleetwood, out the top 10, Fleetwood have played 6 of them at home. And out the top 10, they've played 4 away. So they've got some tricky fixtures. I think they'll win tomorrow. Not tomorrow, it's Sunday, isn't it? I keep thinking it's normal weekend. I think they'll beat Harrogate. Look, I've said to you many, many times that this guy's championship level. I can see him taking Fleetwood up maybe next season and maybe getting into the playoffs this season. If I was going to have a bet on Fleetwood now, it would be to finish in the top 7. And I think that was 5-1. I made it roughly about 11-2, so it wasn't really a value call. What put me off was the away fixtures, if I'm honest, because out of the top 13, they've got to play 9 of them away. They've got to play 9 away games to the teams in the top 13. That slightly tempered my enthusiasm. Now, Pete is very capable of setting his team up. Difficult to beat, playing on the counter. They could reel off 8 wins on the spin, and they could, in a month's time, they could be 3rd, 4th. He's that good. Trust me. This guy had Barrow in the top 6, top 5, whatever. Look where Barrow are now. They're only a few points off the bottom. Look what happened to Halifax when he left there. This guy, do you know what? Wayne Rooney's at Plymouth. I would be willing to bet hard cash if Pete Wild took over at Plymouth, he would do 10 times the job that Rooney has done. He's a proper football manager, this guy. I'm disappointed that he didn't get the Bradford job as well. You know, the MK Dons job. I don't know whether he's got an attitude or what, but for pure footballing ability, when I go to League One and look at the top there, what we got Birmingham, Wickham, Wrexham, he'd walk into any of them jobs and do well. He'd have Wrexham closer to Birmingham. I'm telling you that now, because Wrexham wouldn't have the away record they've got under him. Whether they'd have the home record, I couldn't say, but Fleetwood aren't going to be 16th for long, put it that way. I do wish I'd have backed him the other day, but I just thought he's taken over Christmas morning or Christmas Eve night, whatever it was, and I just thought there's going to be no time to really work with them. I mean, maybe he took them in Christmas Day morning, I don't know, but the message clearly got through quick. But he's somebody that I've been told you really want to play for. He makes you want to play for him, and that is one of the most important things in a manager. And I was always told this about Pep. We talk about Pep as a great tactician. I was always told that you want to play for him. He makes you give it your all. You want to do it for him. And sadly, there's very few managers like that about. But I do think I hold Pete in such high esteem as well, you know. And Fleetwood will only go one way. I'm certain they'll beat Harrogate. There's a point in Harrogate. It's not a game for me. Harrogate are 2-3-6 on the road. I don't know whether Pete wants to stay in that part of the world, because if you look where he's been, Fleetwood, Barrow, you know, they're not a million miles away, are they? I don't know whether would find it hard to come down south and manage maybe an MK Dons or somebody, but he's better than League Two. He's better than League Two. All this should do is enhance his reputation. I mean, I do know that the Fleetwood owner, he's ended up in prison, as somebody else has taken over. Something to do with an electric company he owned. I don't know the full story, so I won't quote it. Right, let's move on. Grimsby Port Vale, 33-27-40. 5-0-6 at home, Grimsby. I wouldn't want to be taking too skinny a price about Port Vale. I mean, Grimsby have only beaten teams at home below them. They're 0-0-3 to teams above them, which, Port Vale are second. But Port Vale are 1 win in 7. The wheels have come off. They were going well at the top, and that's what I mean. This could happen to Walsall. So, people that have said, "Oh my God, we're going to win this." I mean, look, it's only flipping 27th of December. It's not over. There's nothing's won at this time of year. It can be lost, but you can't win anything. But anybody who's unsure, go and trade it out if you want to on the exchanges. Don't know what the price is. I'm not trading out. I don't do that. If I have a bet to trade out, I'll have a bet to trade out. But when I have a bet to win, it's you've made a bet, and that's it. I've made a bet. So, Port Vale most likely as winners. I wouldn't want to take 11-8 about them with just one win in 8 games. Right, MK Dons against Crewe, 44-26-30. They let us down the other day at home to Notts County. They've lost 3 in a row. I did, you always forgive teams. I didn't like that home defeat to Gillingham either. And then they got a doing at Newport, and I thought, but I just thought I'd give them another chance against Notts County. They're 11-10 for Crewe. I wouldn't touch that. Crewe are 4th. They're 2-1-3 for teams above them. MK Dons, they've lost 3 to teams above them. Crewe got done the other day. That was the first defeat for a while, wasn't it? Was it at Cheltenham? Was it at Cheltenham? I can't remember. But they got done 2-1. I can see this game being a draw, but we'll see. Salford Morecambe, 60-26-14. Salford done us proud the other day. That was a cracking price, I thought. Was it 6-4 at home to Barrow? Massive price. When you look at them, they're 9th, Salford. They've got a 5-0-1 record to teams below them. Morecambe are 23rd. Again, I think Salford are being massively overlooked. We see them at 4-6. Tranmere Barrow, 40-27-33. Really not a game that I'd want to get involved with. 19th place, 17th. The one thing with Tranmere, again, at home to team in the bottom third, they've won 2, drawn 2. They are unbeaten. Barrow on the road are 2-7. And they've lost away at Carlisle and Accrington. Tranmere ought to be winning this. There's 0.13 at 40%. It's not the worst in the world. Walsall against Newport, 66-17-17. We see Walsall 2's on for this. They're 100-30 on. I think that's far too short. I think they're doing Newport a slight disservice. I mean, they've only lost 2 in the last 8, Newport. And they managed to put 6 past MK Dons. And they've drawn at Wimbledon and Notts County, who are in the top 7. Look, I'm not saying Newport are going to get anything from here because I expect Walsall to win this game. But there's 5 points in Newport. They shouldn't be 10-1. No way. Finally, Wimbledon, Gillingham, 59-22-19. Again, there's 0.10 in this. There's 0.10 in Wimbledon. Fifth in the table, 6-3-2 home record. Isn't the worst. They've beaten Doncaster here 1-0. MK Dons. Gillingham are 13th. They started well, Gillingham. Wheels are off. They've lost at Crewe and Doncaster, who are in the top 5. I think Wimbledon ought to be beating them, if I'm honest. Right, that's it, guys. That completes the weekend. I'm just trying to think. We've got some decent fixtures New Year's Day. We'll be back on New Year's Eve, which I believe is Tuesday the 31st. It'll be around this time, and we will see what we can dig up for New Year's Day football then. That's it. Have a good weekend. Bye for now.